Good evening. The municipal election is over. I'm Katerina Georgieva, and this is CBC Windsor News. Tonight, we look at what the results mean for the future of Windsor. 3 times a mayor, Drew Dilkens has been re-elected. As the city gains 3 new councillors. It's a new chapter for the city, decided by the lowest voter turnout in years. We begin tonight with the race for mayor. Drew Dilkens went head-to-head with outgoing councillor Chris Holt. A fiery campaign at times, but in the end, Dilkens snagged 52.5% of the vote. Moments after claiming victory, he promised to represent all of Windsor.
I've always had Windsor's interests at heart, and I want to see our city succeed. And we're succeeding by moving this hospital forward. We're succeeding by seeing this battery factory built. We're succeeding with all of the investments that we've been making over the years, whether it's transit, whether it's bike lanes, you name it. We're seeing great investments throughout the city. And like I said, the wind is at our back. And when I have said in the campaign that I'm more optimistic about the future of our city today than I was on the first day in office, that's not just a campaign statement. I really believe that. I mean, I see what's going on here, and I know what's in the pipeline that we are working on. The best days for our city are yet to come, and I'm excited that they're going to be coming very, very quickly down the road.
With his win, Drew Dilkens will be one of Windsor's longest-serving mayors by the end of his 3rd term. And he's heading to City Hall with new councillors at the table. Fred Francis, re-elected in Ward 1. Ward 2 sticking with Fabio Costante, but new faces in Wards 3 and 4. Ronaldo Agostino elected to take over for Reno Bordelon, and Mark McKenzie won a tight, crowded race in Ward 4. Wards 5 and 6 stayed the same, Ed Sleeman and Joanne Geniak keeping their seats. Ward 7 also sees a new face. Angelo Marignani upsets Jeevan Gill. Gary Kashuk keeps his seat in Ward 8. And rounding it out, Kieran McKenzie with an easy win in Ward 9, and Jim Morrison will continue to represent Ward 10. Absent from council next term, Chris Holt. He gave up his Ward 4 seat in a bid to take over the mayor's office, but the city voted for Dilkens. Holt says he was proud of the campaign he ran. When asked about his future, he also said he doesn't want to work with Dilkens.
You know, the people that were attracted to our campaign were just, the most caring, passionate, energetic people that you could ever imagine. And I wouldn't change a thing. We had over 300 volunteers. Our oldest volunteer was 83 years old walking around. Our youngest was pushed around in a baby stroller. And so we covered everything, and I have absolutely no regrets.
What about running again? Are you going to run again and try and get back on council or something like that in the near future?
No, this was it for me. And I really, so during my 2nd term of council, I really decided I can't move forward the way that this council was constructed, right? I couldn't move forward under the current leadership. And so it was either just retire and walk away or run to replace that leadership. I tried that. I ran to replace that leadership. The current leadership is still going to be in place, and I have no desire to work under that again.
A big part of what leadership now needs to address is downtown Windsor. As we mentioned, the new councillor in Ward 3 is Ronaldo Agostino, promising to change the city's core. But as our Dale Molnar reports, the outgoing councillor believes Agostino will have some challenges to overcome as his ward faces some of the most difficult challenges in the city.
Jabs, let's go, jab.
Ronaldo Agostino is the executive director of the Border City Boxing Club. He's pledging to tackle downtown development with the same energy as he does coaching his boxing classes for people recovering from Parkinson's disease.
My entire career, my entire business life has been around vibrancy and excitement. You know what I mean? Creating a vibe, creating an energy. That's what kind of councillor I am. That's what kind of person I am. I don't see Windsor in this slot with Winnipeg or any of these mid-sized towns. I see Windsor in the slot with Toronto, with Montreal, with Vancouver. That's what my Windsor is going to be. Right now, what this is, for the most part, it's a sleeping area. And we're going to beautify this area, and we're going to make it look nice, and we're going to make it look pretty.
Agostino owns 2 espresso bars, including one downtown. He fully intends to fight for his safety measures downtown to attract new business. one of which includes preventing homeless people from sleeping in vestibules by putting in planters.
I mean what I say, and I'm going to try my best to implement the things that I wanted to implement and the ideas that I have, not because I said it, because I think that they will work.
But outgoing Ward 3 councillor Reno Bordelin believes Agostino may face some challenges when it comes to turning his plans into reality.
I think someone like Ronaldo will have a lot of moments where reality sinks in, as far as campaigning is very different than being in the position and actually knowing what's possible.
Agostino won with only 75 more votes than downtown BIA chairperson Brian Yeomans, and even though Yeomans finds it disappointing, he's not going to hold it against Agostino. In fact, he's pledging to work with him on downtown development if he becomes the chairperson again.
I've worked with City Council on different initiatives, and I will work with whomever is sitting at that table.
I've been working with Brian Yeomans very closely for the last 5 years, and I don't see why that would change.
One of Agostino's ideas to make downtown more vibrant is to scrap the idea of a permanent location for a supervised injection site.
Ottawa doesn't have per se mobile units, but what Ottawa has done is they've used trailers.
But he says if City Council doesn't reconsider, he will go along for the ride. And as he did with his campaign pedal car, he says he's ready to saddle up. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
The other two new faces on council will be in Wards 4 and 7. Walkerville had an open seat, and in East Riverside, Forest Glade, the sitting councillor lost. Stacey Janzer has more.
There was no other option. Ward 4 would have a new councillor, as Chris Holt ran for mayor. 8 candidates vying for the position. The ward known for Walkerville, the distillery, and now Mark McKenzie.
I'm Mark McKenzie, your Ward 4 City Council candidate, lifelong resident of Ward 4, and here's my phone number. Bring me your concerns.
Mark McKenzie isn't new to Windsor listeners. He's been a voice on 89X for years. The now realtor says one of the issues he'll be focusing on is affordable housing.
It's not even affordable to build housing. That's the problem with material costs and the lack of skilled trades. So we definitely got to work with the upper levels of government, try to get more funding.
McKenzie says he's hoping to work with some of the others who ran for the seat for council to bring their issues to the table. Meanwhile, in Ward 7, incumbent Jeevan Gill was unseated. He won a 2020 by-election after Eric Kuzmerchuk won a federal seat. The area of East Riverside that borders with Tecumseh has Angelo Marignani, who has run 6 times for the ward seat as their next councillor.
It's a feeling that, dreams come true. Don't give up on your dreams. And I think that's part of the Windsor spirit. When we get knocked down, we get back up. And if you don't play, you don't win. So for everyone out there who has that vision, who wants to do good for their city, and although you might lose, keep fighting.
He says his first priorities are healthcare, speeding, and safety in parks like this one in Forest Glade. Greg LeMay has also been persistent. He's run 3 times, but says this may be his last attempt.
My daughter's very content and she wants time with her dad at this point. I haven't seen her much in the last 6 months, and every time I do this, it's hard on the family, right? I don't think people realize how much work goes into this.
Even though the election didn't go his way, LeMay says that he'll continue to work in this ward through his work with the Neighborhood Watch. And he says he hopes that the new councillor can solve the issue of safety in parks here in Forest Glade, because that is the biggest issue for him in this ward. Stacey Janzer, CBC News, Windsor.
Now, all of these results come with a big caveat, and that is voter turnout. TJ Deere has been crunching the numbers for us. So, TJ, how bad was it?
Well, Kat, the voter turnout is low once again. According to the unofficial results released by the City of Windsor, only about 31% of Windsorites cast a ballot last night.
For the 3rd consecutive municipal election in Windsor, less than 40% of voters cast a ballot. Windsor residents were not pleased to hear that so few eligible voters came out.
I don't know why there's apathy about voting. I really don't, because it matters so much to me that I don't understand why it doesn't to other people too.
I didn't hear a lot of advertising. I didn't hear any, I didn't see any ads and anything else like that.
I think people are just so fed up with the overriding system of being told what to do. So I don't know what the answer is. But I do know that there are people who are willing to give their life to vote.
Although only 31% of Windsor residents came out to vote, that's more than many other larger cities in the province. Toronto's voter turnout was only about 29%. London and Brampton saw only a quarter of eligible voters cast a ballot, and Mississauga only had about 21% of voters vote. There are other municipalities that had higher turnouts, though. Hamilton saw more than 35% of voters cast a ballot, and more than 43% of those eligible to vote in Ottawa did so. The city's manager of elections doesn't see voter turnout as the be-all end-all of a successful election.
Maybe it was so nice outside, people were otherwise, busy. We had increased voter turnout during our advanced voting days, so that contributes to that 31.57% number. So maybe, people saw the increased turnout with the advanced polls, thought, well, maybe I'm not coming out to the regular poll.
Windsor residents who did vote were asked in an exit survey if they would vote online. Knight LePaine said if the voting method changes in 4 years' time, it would be a hybrid model instead of only in-person voting. There's still time to fill out the survey.
It's just 4 or 5 quick questions. How did you get to the poll? Where did you vote? What ward? Are you interested in an additional or an alternative voting method were it to be offered? And that survey is also available on our website, windsorelections.ca. It will be up there till the end of November.
Now, Kat, Knight LePaine did mention that the official results would be released either later tonight or tomorrow morning. And once that is released, we'll have a clearer picture of how Windsor voted in each individual ward.
Thanks for this, TJ. Appreciate that breakdown.
You're welcome.
Now, some big changes in the county. In Amherstburg, Michael Prue is the new mayor after Aldo DiCarlo decided not to run again. Sherry Bondi elected as mayor in Essex. Out in Kingsville, Dennis Rogers takes over as mayor after Nelson Santos decided to step away. And long-serving Tom Bain lost in Lakeshore. Tracy Bailey is the new mayor there. For a breakdown of all of the election results across the county, head to cbc.ca/Windsor. The city also voted for public school board trustees. Christy Nelson is joining the team, one of 2 new trustees. She has lots of experience working predominantly within the Black community to help families navigate the education system. I spoke with her today and I asked her why she wanted to run.
Well, we always talk about how representation matters. And in my work role, I'm consistently coaching parents through different challenges within the education system. We also have a team, includes a child youth worker who is also focused on advocating for Black families within the education system. And when we talk about having a seat at the table, it's not just in one area, of an institution or a system. We have to have representation on all levels of the system so that we can not only make changes within, on the inside, but also on the outside. And we know based on the numbers and the facts that, some things are and some things are not equitable. And while we're looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion, we want to make sure that that applies to all students and all families, including our Black families who are feeling maybe not so well when it comes to that.
And you have so much experience doing work within education and helping Black families, as you said, navigate the education system. So how are you going to use that to inform your next moves now?
You said exactly. Information, informing is what it's all about. When going door to door and walking around in the community, people are feeling that there needs to be more transparency and understanding about the way things work within the school boards so that they can also have a voice in what some of the policies say and how some of the changes are made, specifically when it comes to their school-age children, right? And so I just hope to be that voice for those who feel voiceless. I also hope to be able to provide some insight information to people who are looking for things like, how do I get involved? How do I have a seat at the table myself? And so whether it's going to a parent involvement committee and getting involved that way, or the GECPIC committee, which is the Greater Essex County Parent Involvement Committee, reaching out to a trustee so that they can go to a superintendent to come back and report to the individuals, the public, and the community, whether it's having district surveys to help resolve some of the skill testing questions that we may have as trustees to help us make those decisions. I hope to be that voice for the people and to just let them know that I'm a parent too, and that's one of my biggest prides and joys is being a parent and being in the publicly funded education system. I just firmly believe that it should be equitable for all and everybody should feel that way, not just that it is, not that we're just saying it is. Everybody has to feel that and therefore know that, and we have to do that.
The public school board has been under scrutiny over the last couple of years when it comes to how it addresses racism within schools. Is that something that you can speak to about what role you want to play in that as the board continues to try and do better?
Yes, so I bring a different lens than other people because I am a member of the Black community. I myself have had experiences related to racism within our publicly funded education system. And I think just lending that real life lived experience and perspective, as well as bringing that insight from our Black community as well to the trustees, should help and go a long way, hopefully. Yeah. So I think I would just close off by saying there are a lot of people who are for equity, for diversity, for inclusion, and they just want things to be fair across the board. And so when you have a community like Windsor and Essex, which is extremely diverse, and you're looking for that representation, whether it's in the policies or whether it's in having a seat at the table or whether it's in doing an interview. And when the community has felt that the representation hasn't been there, knowing that there are qualified individuals within the community who could take a seat at the table, not only do I feel a great sense of responsibility, I feel extremely honored, and I appreciate the support of the community because I know that it's not me alone. I may be the physical person sitting in that seat, but it's an accumulation of all the lived experiences of our Black community that is really going to have an impactful and sustainable change here.
Let's take a live look outside there at the Ambassador Bridge. Cloudy right now, but it was really nice out earlier. Colette Kennedy will be here right after the break with more on your weather forecast. Welcome back. We want to take another look at the election results, but we're really gonna break it down brick by brick. So take a look at this. This is not your typical Lego set. You see minifigures for the mayor's race. Riley Richard pieced this together last night with really great attention to detail. So Dilkins there on the left, he's winning with a battery in his hands, a significant of the electric vehicle battery plant, of course. Then you got Holt in second place, sitting on his bicycle. The Sharpie that we all use to fill out the ballot, that's on the side of the screen there. Ernie Lamont holding on to bacon. He's known as the Bacon Man. I know Colette Kennedy's listening in, so that's why the bacon's there.
Well, I don't have my glasses on, so I literally had to get very close to the monitor to see everything. But then when I realized that Sharpie, it really puts it in perspective, doesn't it, of how teeny tiny these,
yes.
to have all those little details, and they're very small little details. That's actually very creative.
It's really cool. There was also the hospital, was like there on the side, there was a built hospital representing the mega hospital project. There was some pizza there, roses representing the Rose City. Yes, thank you. There we go. So Riley, you did it. Thank you so much for letting us share that. That is really, really cool.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah. And now we can pivot from the election to weather. Colette, it was another really beautiful day today.
Yeah, we'll give the accolades now to Mother Nature for the well done here because, again, yes, we've been putting a string of very mild days together, right? And it's that kind of contrast because remember when we were in the cooler air and our friends and neighbors in the prairie provinces had all that heat that was lasting and lasting, and then you may have heard or seen images or talked to your family and heard about the snow that moved through, and look at the cool temperatures there and compare those to what's happening in southern and eastern Ontario. And because I like looking at temperatures, let's take another view of it, and essentially kind of focusing on what's happening in the province of Ontario, but Sandy Lake at freezing, very cool numbers here, and then seeing even over towards the nation's capital at 17. Now that is going to be changing, not to the extremes in terms of the prairies and the cold weather there, but just kind of a reset. It's that gentle nudge back towards seasonal temperatures, and that's where we're going to be headed. Not there yet, certainly not when we're sitting at 21 degrees in Windsor. Some of the cloud cover in there, it will become more significant though as we go through the overnight. Even an isolated shower is possible as this cold front approaches through the overnight hours, but that becomes much more expanded and greater chance as we go into tomorrow morning. So do expect some wet conditions, the commute perhaps a little bit slow there, and some wet conditions there, and at times a few pockets where it will be perhaps a little bit heavier. So a few of those bands, some of that rain downfall could be a little bit more significant. Fairly short-lived though as this cold front kind of sweeps through. Just a note to the control room, I haven't had a cue, so I don't know. I'm probably talking too much. I usually am. But just looking at some of that cloud cover that will be behind the system as that system moves through. So just that cloud cover will even be clearing out. High pressure will be building in behind it, and as it does, we'll have that sunshine there coming back at us. So that's just the reset. The temperatures kind of going back to where they need to be, and a look at those mild readings we'll have overnight tonight. But it's not that big a deal, is it? It's just going to be the mornings a little cool, especially Thursday morning. You're going to feel that one.
That's not bad at all. And I just have to say that I'm inspired. Now I'm thinking about the Lego image that we shared earlier.
What are you going to build? Are you going to do our set?
Well, here's what I'm going to reveal. My partner loves Lego, and we have a giant bin full of Lego pieces in our basement, and now I'm going to see what I can come up with. Maybe I will build our set, and I will show you. I'll come up with something. No, I've really made a commitment.
Pressure.
Oh my gosh.
You might have something more creative than this, but we look forward to seeing that, Katerina.
Sounds good. Thanks as always, Colette.
Sure.
Stay with us. We will have more news for you coming right up. A $40 billion child welfare deal between First Nations and the federal government has been rejected by the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal. In its summary decision, the tribunal says the agreement has not met all of its orders and that some people who are eligible for compensation are not included in the deal. The Assembly of First Nations and the federal government are calling the decision disappointing, but Ottawa is pledging to keep working toward a solution. The group that asked the tribunal to send the agreement back to the negotiating table says today's decision is a chance to get the deal right.
This isn't a doomsday kind of scenario. It's actually a good scenario where we're making sure that we're taking care of everyone. And that's consistent with our First Nations values. It's also consistent with human rights standards.
There's disappointment. This was a compensation plan designed by First Nations people for First Nations people in a culturally specific way. My commitment to those partners is that we'll be with them for the long haul to get to an agreement.
The federal compensation provides $20 billion for First Nations children and families harmed by the discriminatory on-reserve child welfare system and other policies designed to help them. They were to receive $40,000 each. Another $20 billion was dedicated to fund long-term reforms to the on-reserve child welfare system. The Royal Canadian Legion's National Poppy campaign is starting up again, and the Governor General has received the first one. Legion officials presented Mary Simon with her poppy in a special ceremony at Rideau Hall. Simon is also Canada's Commander-in-Chief. The Governor-General then presented poppies to several veterans who were in attendance. The poppy campaign runs until Remembrance Day, November 11th. It raises funds to support veterans and their families. The familiar poppy boxes will start showing up on Friday. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.